It is our Sheff United way pleasure to welcome a Glasgow-born former Blades defender whose Wikipedia image makes him look 12 years old. Bob, you've seen it. Bob, no middle name, Harris. How does it feel to be the perfect height for a man?
I wish I was bigger, put it that way.
Me too. We're the same height. I should just make that very clear at this stage. I'm not having a go.
That's all right, don't worry.
That was Hal's attempt at humour about 20 seconds in. Don't worry, that's going to continue all the way through.
Stars to go on.
So, you said we could call you Bob off air. Does anyone call you Bobby? Because my missus calls you Bobby all the time. She's like, when are you interviewing Bobby Harris?
A few people call me Bobby, but it's just I don't really take notice. It just comes naturally. It's Robert, Bob, Bobby, so whatever.
Well, when you meet people for the first time, what do you say is your name?
Robert.
Interesting.
Just depends. Sometimes it's Robert or Bob, or just depends really who I'm speaking to.
Throughout your entire football career, everyone's called you Bob Harris, and the whole time it's like the Jermaine Genus thing. But he finally came out and said, "Right, you've all been saying my name wrong. You've just gone with it."
Yeah, I just roll with it. I've been called a lot worse, put it that way.
So let's start from the very beginning. Your career started obviously in Scotland. That's where you're from, with Clyde and Rangers. Would you like to tell us how it all happened?
Yeah, I started playing at the age of 5, 6 with Clyde Boys Club. My dad ended up coaching me there. I was there for numerous years, then I ended up going into numerous academies. But I think it was when I was at 9, I settled on Rangers. And I was at Rangers when I was 9 till about 15, 16, you know, when it's that make or break stage for scholarships or whatever you call it. And then that was when I was told I wasn't good enough. So I ended up back at Clyde. Did a year there with the Clyde youth team again, and ended up getting accepted for the scholarship there. But at the time, Clyde financially never had a lot of money, so they only could afford 2 or 3 scholars, which worked out perfect for me because every day we were training with the first team.
Wow.
So it worked out quite well, you know, at such a young age, playing with experienced guys and that. So it was really good, enjoyed that. I was there for numerous years, learning off a lot of experienced guys, really young. I made my debut, I think it was 17. I was 17 when I played my first game for the first team at Clyde. And a lot of boys, you know, at that age don't get the opportunity to play first team football. So obviously I went back a step because at that time Clyde were in the Scottish, it was the old first division, it's now known as the Championship. So yeah, I went back a level, but I went back a step to go forward again, which was good, you know what I mean?
Robert, have you always been a left back?
No, funnily enough, when I played at Clyde Boys Club when I was younger, I started up front. You know, my dad was a coach, so scoring loads of goals. It was funny because I played up front so often, and then we played a sort of Blues v Whites game when I was in at Rangers. And I came out one day and I said, my dad said, "Oh, are you playing?" I said, "Aye." He said, "What are you playing?" I said, "Left back." And he said, "What do you mean you're playing left back?" I said, "Well, I've not got enough left footers, so they've just asked me if I'll fill in at left back." And I was a striker at the time. And I said, "Yeah, I no worries." And that was it. I ended up just sticking there, and that was it for there on. Left back.
You must have had a good game.
I think it was just, I was really aggressive, even though I was quite small. You know what I mean? You've probably seen that when I played. I was really aggressive, loved the tackle, so I think I must have done all right. And I thought I would just keep in there.
So in 2007, you moved to Queen of the South, where you made over 100 appearances, which was the most in your career. Did you enjoy playing your football there?
That was another special club. It was weird though, because my contract was coming to an end at Clyde, and I was trying to negotiate a new one, and Colin Hendry came in as a new manager, and I was actually willing to take less money to stay at Clyde because I was enjoying it there. I loved that I was playing in that. And it just the finances wasn't there at Clyde. So I went to Queen of the South, and that was amazing. My first year, we got to the Scottish Cup final. It's just, everything fell into place. I never played at the start. And then they sort of played me left midfield, and I had an experienced guy playing behind me, Jamie McQuilkin, played for Celtic and Motherwell and stuff. He was a bit older, but then it got to the stage you kind of switched the 2s around. And he ended up playing left midfield and I played left back. But I say the first year couldn't have went any better. We got to the Scottish Cup final, and because Rangers, wherever they had finished in the league or whatever, they were already in Europe, so we qualified for the UEFA Cup qualifiers, whatever it is, for the following year. So It was mad. It was a mad first year.
I mean, here we are. You know, you're in your early 20s at this stage. You know, so much has already happened, and then you made your way to England, Blackpool specifically. So, I mean, how did that come about? And was it a difficult decision to leave Scotland, which sounds like you've been having a great time?
I did. No, that was another one. But we do the South for making a few cutbacks, etc. But there was a contract offer on the table, and a new manager came in, Gus McPherson, and he was just like, "Look, come in and do pre-season. I know you want to see what's out there, kind of thing." But there's a contract offer on the table for you, and I'd done 2 or 3 weeks with him, really hard pre-season, and an old scout, Alex Gordon, rang me and he said, like, "Do you fancy going down to Blackpool and trial?" And I thought it was a wind-up at first, and he's like, "No, seriously." He's like, "You get in your car and drive to Blackpool and start on pre-season." And I was like, "Yeah, all right." He said, "It's Stephen Craney's supposed to be moving on, and I've not got any fullback." So I was like, "Perfect, no worries." And that was it. Jumped in the car, went down to Blackpool, fixed up in a hotel, and kind of went for it. It was just weird. It was luckily I'd done 2 or 3 weeks pre-season, obviously in Scotland first. It sort of got me hit the ground running when I got there.
Yeah, definitely. And you then met up with future very, very popular Sheffield United player Chris Basham. What was he like back then? And did you ever expect him to be the best overlapping right centre-back the world's ever seen?
You know what? It's hard to describe Bash. You could play Bash anywhere and you would just get the same performance. He just, honestly, what a player. A lot of people, I don't think he gets the credit he deserves by a lot of people. Maybe not for Sheffield United fans, but for the outside. But I mind when I came to Blackpool, I'm sure they'd paid about £1 million for him for Bolton or something, and he'd played in the Premiership with Bolton. And you don't really appreciate how good he is until you play beside him. But he's a top lad. He's so funny. Yeah, I don't even think he needs to be. That's just the way he is. But no. But then I watched him, obviously playing under Chris Wilder and how he was bombing on. But on his fitness levels are ridiculous. I think, and there's no fat on Bash. You see him. He's quite tall. He's quite skinny, and he could probably play for a right good few years.
So after that spell, you've then had a short loan at Rotherham. You signed for the Blades on the 31st of January, which was on deadline day. And of course, deadline day could be fraught with all sorts for so many footballers, not necessarily the best time of year for any footballer. But how did that whole transfer to Sheffield United happen?
Well, that's another story, because I'd not played many games under Paul Ince at Blackpool. I started the season, played a couple, and then he brought in Jack Robinson for Liverpool. So I'd been pushing for a while to, can I go on loan? And he pulled me on, I think it was deadline day, and he said to me, "Look, there's a club coming in loan for you." And I was thinking, all right, good. And I just said, "Who is it?" And he said, "Oh, it's Bradford." And I said, "All right, okay." I said, "Can I go?" And he said, "No." And I said, why not? I said, "Look, we've agreed that I can go on loan." And he said, because apparently the Blackpool chairman at the time didn't get on with the chairman of Bradford. So I was in the middle of that. So I was like, okay. I said, "Well, if another club comes in for me, can I go?" And he said, "Yeah, no problem." But I already knew that Sheffield United were interested, because Coffey was asking about me when he was at Derby, and I wasn't allowed to go there either because they were in the Championship at the same time. So I spoke to my agent, and then about 15 minutes later, and pulled me again at lunch and said, "Look, another club have come in for you. You can go if you want." I was like, happy days. And then he got sacked no long after that conversation. And it was, so I was thinking, I'm going to Sheffield United, great, big club, going to play games. And then he got sacked within me having that 15 minutes after that conversation. So I was living with Barry Ferguson at the time.
Wow, what a legend.
Yeah, my hero, obviously, growing up, big Rangers fan. So we were close teammates, living together. And then he was put in temporary charge. So I was waiting to do the paperwork to come to Sheffield United, and he was like, pulled me into the office saying, "I can't let go." And I was like, "Listen, Barry, we're good mates. I need to go and play football." I went, "I'm ready to sign the paperwork. It's there, Matt's done the paperwork." And he said, "Right, you need to give me a bit of time." So I was sitting around waiting, and then I think he came back and he'd agreed to get Tony McMahon to go the other way. That was the only way that they were letting me go, if they could get somebody else in. And then when I knew that was happening, I was delighted. You know what I mean? But it was just a whirlwind story how everything happened within the space of about half an hour.
So your first appearance for the Blades was coming on for us as a sub for Harry Maguire in the FA Cup against Fulham. Anyone have any idea where he is nowadays?
Nah, no idea.
He went to Hull and we never heard from him again.
So that game wasn't necessarily one to remember, but the away trip was. What do you remember from that 2014 Cup run?
I think they scored quite late in the first game, didn't they? We were winning, they scored quite late. I'm sure they did.
We'll say yes.
I went to the replay, and I remember I think I came off with cramp, and then obviously Sean scored the goal right at the end of that game, man. That was amazing. But the whole cup run, it was just I know before I came, they'd beat Villa in the previous rounds, and it was at Cambridge or something. But every game we were going into was just like we're going to win. It was just one of them. You just had the feeling, no matter who we were playing, we're going to win. We're going to win. Even when we got right to the semi-final against Hull, I think we've got to win this. And looking back there, it was a chance missed that, I think, in that semi-final.
Yeah, it's a few players that we've spoken to from that era that have said exactly that. And the season didn't end up with the Blades getting promoted. We just ran out of games. But from what you just said there, do you think United would have gone up if we had snuck into the playoffs?
I think so. You look for, was it Christmas or January onwards, when Nigel made a few signings, I think we equalled, was it the clean sheet record, or we beat the clean sheet record for league games or whatever. We went on a run. I think when I came, we were maybe 20 whatever in the table. We went on an unbelievable run. I think we missed it. It was about 3 or 4 points to the playoffs. You know what I mean? We just, as you say, we ran out of games, but we were just getting ahead of steam. But no, that was a special team to be part of, and it was just disappointing because we did have momentum. You know what I mean? I think that's a big thing going into the playoffs. You've seen that over the years. It's not necessarily the teams that finished third and fourth. It's the teams that get in there, but that are winning games going into it. So it was just unfortunate we never made it.
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah, and we've not had many cup runs before that, not many long cup runs in recent times. And we're thinking, oh, this isn't going to happen again. And then the season after, it happened again, didn't it? Not in the FA Cup, but in the League Cup. Yeah, so what I want to know is, how did it feel in that Southampton game, hitting the ball so hard that you practically put a 6'7" goalkeeper in the back of his own net, only for Mark McNulty to steal your glory?
Well, I'm still debating this. Now we've got VAR, I would like to see the angles of that goal. I still have banter with Sparky about that. But listen, the main thing was winning the game. But I just thought that it was that close to the goal. And I thought he's 6'7". If I hit this low and hard, it's a long way for him to get down. You know what I mean? I just tried to hit it as hard as I could. And then obviously, like any good striker, Sparky was there to put it in, even though it was already over the line. I'm saying
definitely over the line. Yeah, me too.
I thought it was over the line.
Unless we get McNulty on, and then we'll probably go with him at the time. Yeah. So yeah, we'll go with you for now, Bob.
Nick's so right. We always agree with whoever we're speaking to. So Mark, if you're watching, please. In 2015, we made the playoffs, but unfortunately missed out on the final after that crazy, and I can't even believe I'm going to say it, 5-5 draw with Swindon Town. What was that game like?
That was mad, because the first game at home, I don't think we really played that well, and then we kind of took that into the second. Like, we started so bad, and then once we found our feet, you know what I mean, we got ourselves right back in the game. But it was weird. The goals were just flying in. I've watched that game back numerous times, and I just think that must have been mad for people watching. You know what I mean? At the time, live on TV, it was just crazy. But again, the team spirit we had then as well. We almost took it to extra time. We scored, Shea, I think it was, scored right at the end, and they gave a free kick, which was a bit soft. But again, it was another disappointment for the football club, because they've been pushing for years, obviously, to try and get promotion, and we fell short again, which wasn't good enough.
Yeah, and that was Nigel Clough's final game, wasn't it? I don't think any of us expected him to be leaving after that game, but it was, wasn't it?
Yes, he got the sack not long after that. But as I say, the year before, we just missed the playoffs. We got the cup run. Then that season, we did the other cup run, and obviously lost in the playoff semi-final. So there was something building there, you know what I mean? I thought he was a wee bit unlucky. I think if we'd have got another few players in that summer, we'd have been right in there in the mix for the following season. But listen, in football, if you don't achieve your goals, especially in management, you're facing the sack, and you can see that these days. It happens very often.
Yeah, and then we brought in another Nigel, a more positive Nigel. So what you only played?
Robert's face.
Yeah,
it says it all.
I'm going to say you only played 5 games under him. What was that like?
That was a disaster season. Absolute disaster.
Are you talking about for you or for everybody involved?
Both, for everybody. I think. What did we finish that season? Was it 14th or something?
Yeah, it's the lowest Sheffield United had finished since we were in the 4th division.
Horrendous.
Or something.
It just, it was just so different. Under Coffee, we had like a right togetherness. You know what I mean? The lads went out at night, so we would have a drink together. But as soon as training was on, everybody was at it. You know what I mean? But Nigel sort of went on holiday, wasn't he, for like the sort of lads getting together, drinking and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Having like real team bonding. And it went through one extreme to the other. You know what I mean? And it just, for me, it wasn't my type of manager. Don't get me wrong, his coaching staff were really good. You know, like Dean Wilkins and that, they were really good. Some of their methods and stuff, but I just don't know if, as a team, if everybody together sort of bought into what they were trying to do. And as you seen at the end of the season, it was the position in the table was a disaster. You know what I mean? And then obviously he didn't last much longer after that.
Yeah.
But for me as well, it was a rubbish season because I had the summer I came back, I had a hernia and then we couldn't get to the bottom of it. And I was trying to play through it, and then eventually I had surgery, came back, played a few games, was getting fit, and then I ended up getting concussion. In one of the games I went to hospital. And I came back that week and I was trying to train. And I was running, I was paining the sole of my foot and we couldn't get to the bottom of it. And then it was just a run of injuries that season. It was an absolute nightmare. Just couldn't get ready. I ended up going to Fleetwood. Probably shouldn't have went, to be honest. I was just trying to go out to play games. That never really worked out, and it was just a disaster season all in.
What about the dressing room as well? Because we've heard some less than positive things about the dressing room during the time of Nigel Adkins. Was it not the same as Cloughie's?
No, well, a lot of the players were the same. You know what I mean? A lot of the players were the same. But I just don't know what it was. It's hard to put a finger on it, to be honest. There probably was division in the dressing room. Did I really notice it? Probably not. I was just trying to get around everybody. I got on with everybody. You know what I mean? I think that's important. You know what I mean? I'd also been at the club for a couple of years, and when I first joined, that's what my wife said. Like when she came over to the hotel, Kevin McCabe was it? Came and spoke to us. And my wife I'd been at Blackpool for a couple of years, and my wife I don't think had ever seen the chairman. You know what I mean? And she'd only been her first trip to the hotel to stay when I was on loan. And we spoke to Kevin, and he was up asking how my wife was, etc., how my son was. I just had a kid at the time. It was just one of them. Everything changed in that season. I don't know what it was. You know what I mean? As I say, the togetherness with the chairman asking about wives, and with the players, the coaching staff, and then that season under Adkins, it just went to. But it's hard to put a finger on it because I say the players are the same.
Yeah.
But it must have been something. It must have been the methods. It must have been. As I say, for me, it wasn't for me. So maybe the other players were the same. You know what I mean? But as I say, the results showed that, because at the end of the season, that position for Sheffield United was a disgrace.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. My question now is a bit more of a positive one. So in the dressing room, obviously lots and lots of Scottish players. Who were your non-Scottish friends? Because I'm sure you Scottish guys stick together, didn't you?
Oh, aye, of course. We're everywhere as Scottish. But no, when I first came, because I was still living in Blackpool when I was on loan, so I used to meet up with Matt Hill in Preston. Then we used to meet up with Connor Cody and Josie Backham. We used to travel together to training that each day. So that was quite good. But when I moved over, I used to live next to North Arthur Terry Kennedy. It's a hotel, as you also see recently, had a nice win.
Have you been back in touch? Don't forget your friend Robert.
Yeah, no, I know. I used to buy the coffees every morning on the way to training, so he owes me a few coffees. No, so Tel was probably I was the closest to Tel, obviously, because we were travelling to training every day, and go for coffees and that. But as I say, the group in general was quite close. You know what I mean? A lot of Scottish lads would kind of help me when I first came. You know what I mean? So I knew some of them from up in Scotland when I played. Because when you come to a club for the first time, it's difficult. But and then also we signed like the likes of Skuggs and Sparky as well. So End up half the changing room, I think, was Scottish at one point.
It certainly felt like that. So, I mean, a lot of us think with Terry Kennedy that had he not had his injuries, he really would have been a top defender. Did you feel that as well?
Yes. It was difficult to watch, you know what I mean? Because he was so young, but he was so good, but he couldn't train all the time. And I know it was like being injured and you're not able to train, but the fact that he had so many knee surgeries at such a young age, it didn't really bode well anyway, you know what I mean? But that was a good thing when I was there. Like Cloughie and the physios, they managed him quite well, you know what I mean? When he could train, when he was in the gym, when he could play. But you could see he was a really good defender. He was quick, but for me, he was really good on the ball as well, you know what I mean? And the games he did play when I was there, he done really well. But I say it was disappointing for him because I think he would have been a top player if he'd have managed to stay free of injury.
Yeah, I completely agree. And 32 years old. It's amazing we're talking about such a young age. But after spells with Fleetwood, Bristol Rovers, you retired from professional football. Was it the injuries that made you come to that decision?
Yeah, pretty much. As I say, I had that foot injury and I couldn't get to the bottom of it. And obviously, Adkins got the same day that we get told our contracts when they get rid, Adkins got sacked as well. And the new manager was coming in. I ended up having surgery not long after that on my foot. And to be fair, the physios at Sheffield United, Ed and that, had me in doing my rehab when Chris Wilder had come in. You know what I mean? I was coming in at certain times. Obviously, the lads were training, whatever. I was doing a bit of physio work. That for me, that was I was just so frustrated because when I spoke to the lads, when Chris came in, I could see that team bonding was there again. When they were away in pre-season, I watched some of the videos. They were working hard, but they had a bit of downtime as well. We had missed the season before, and then when I spoke to the lads, I was like, I wish I could play for him. You know what I mean? The way they were talking about him and that. And then when I watched them play and I watched his interviews, it was just that was disappointing. But it was just the injuries after I had the surgery. Got back, I did all right at Bristol Rovers every game I played, but then they wanted to go a different route with some younger players, which was fine. I mean, I appreciate the honesty there. And then you kind of get forgot about in football quite quickly. People forget that, you know what I mean? But I just think I went down the all leagues and tried it, and I thought, do I really need this? You know what I mean? I got to that age where I was playing with some of the younger lads, and it didn't really mean anything to them. Whereas me, I was 100% committed. You know what I mean? So now I'm playing for my local team. I play for Lytham Town, so I'll give them a wee mention on the podcast. I play for them on a Saturday, and I coach my wee boy. He plays for the Lytham Juniors, so I coach his team as well during the week. So I'm enjoying it.
Do you play up front?
No, I play centre midfield.
Of course.
Where else? Yeah. You're like Basham. I mean, when you look at your career and you told us you were a goal scoring striker, do you think when you look back on your career, wish you'd scored a few more goals?
Oh, I scored some good ones, to be fair. There's a video somewhere on YouTube. Somebody made my goals, and I look back and I think, yeah, I scored some no bad ones, but I just wish I'd contributed a bit more. But I think when I was at Sheffield United, it was in my first or second season where I had the partnership with Jamie Murphy. I had quite a lot of assists that season. I never scored a lot of goals, but I had quite a few assists.
I remember the Bradford City goal. That was a belter.
You know what? When I watched that back, I didn't realise that was Pickford in goals until somebody mentioned it a while later.
And sumo throw, wasn't it?
Oh, with
Scoogle.
Oh, that was one of the best things I've ever seen. When we seen that back, Sky Sports, it was like somebody picked up a baby and just threw them.
So, what did he say about that then?
I don't know. We were all just like, how was that not a foul?
Well, for those that don't know, it's Rory McArdle, isn't it? The Bradford defender who just throws him to the ground. Rory McArdle, famously a Sheffield Wednesday fan.
Me or Bob don't know that, so obviously not that famous.
Well, fair enough. All right, so aside from the coaching and the playing, what else are you up to these days and what do you hope to do?
I done my coaching badges a few years back and I'd been applying for a few jobs and stuff. I'd completed my B licence and I'd done half my A, but I didn't end up completing my licence because all the other jobs I was applying for I wasn't really getting anywhere. So as I say, I'm just enjoying coaching my son's team and then just see where he kind of goes for it, and obviously playing for my local team. But I'm doing a bit of work for DPD. One of the old youth team coaches at Blackpool when I was there. He owns a lot of the franchises there now, so I'm doing a bit of work for him. Quite enjoying it. It keeps me fit, and I also help coaching been playing this Saturday, so I'm doing all right.
Oh, that's fantastic to hear. I mean, maybe one day we will see Bob Harris back coaching capacity at beautiful downtown Bramall Lane. You know, you'd always be welcome.
Oh, cheers! I appreciate that. You never know. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds?
Have you been back to Bramall Lane since?
I did a few years back. We came to a game. I went and then I took my son to the Reebok when we won 4-0. You know the game. I think Flecky scored just at the promotion season of the year before, maybe. And then I went to Deepdale, the promotion season where Didzy scored at Preston, a 1-0 game.
I'm loving hearing this.
I was actually sitting next to Billy Sharp's dad.
Oh.
So as you can imagine, when Sheffield United scored, you can imagine what Sharpie's dad was like. So that was a good day. I took my brother-in-law to that game because obviously it's not far phase, but it was really good.
That's fantastic. I love hearing you say "we."
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
I could see Nick's face, and you could see me.
I was just
smile.
going to say, did you say "we"?
He said "we."
Fantastic.
He said "we." When I said to my mum I was speaking to you, she said what I think you'll probably have had throughout your life. She went, "Whispering Bob Harris."
I know. You know what? People used to call me that all the time, and I'd be like, I had no idea what they were talking
We're
about.
all too young.
No idea. And then I don't know. Is it something to do with the radio or something?
You've never looked it up. You're named
No,
after
no.
him.
No. People were calling me for years, and I just never understood. I just thought it was something people said. No idea.
I just thought you were a quiet boy.
Everyone thinks I'm quiet before they've even met me.
There's always somebody mentioned I'm sure that he was a radio presenter or something, and I was like, oh, so that's where it comes from. But I had no idea what they were talking about for ages.
I think you're right. Well, great. No, not a single one of us has done our research. But Whispering Bob Harris, it has been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the memories of Bramall Lane. And Nick and I really hope to see you back at beautiful downtown Bramall Lane one day when we can say hello in person.
Yeah, no worries. I need to try and get over it again, hopefully this season. If not next, then I'll get you a message and maybe we can meet up or whatever.
Tell Gary Sinclair he'll get you on the pitch, get a fantastic ovation.
What you deserve as well.
Absolutely.
No worries.